What's going on, everybody? I am live from the road in Lake Lure, North Carolina. I got Charlie from Reagan Renee Royal Pythons on the show tonight. He just did his first live selling event on MorphMarket, and I recently did one on Palm Street. We are going to dive in, pick those apart, hang out. It's always a good time when Charlie's here. So thanks for being here tonight. Stick around. Let's get to it. So check this out. This is kind of cool. This is just the iPhone, and it's on a stationary thing, but it has this thing called Center Stage, and it'll follow you around. I usually use my my Canon and in my studio, but this is in the rental house that I'm in here in North Carolina while I'm working from the road. If it's a little bit of a funny story. If you think I'm dressed like this for any reason, I will tell you exactly why I am. So I got this nice house and it's cool and the company's paying for it. I'm not, all full transparency, but it's cold here on the East Coast and it's been storming on the East Coast and this house has no heat. I got this awesome house and I'm stuck in one little bedroom downstairs with a mini split that is warm, and the rest of the house, it's like 48 degrees in here right now. So I'm sitting here in my work clothes because they're the warmest thing that I've got, because I thought, Minnesota boy going to North Carolina, I don't need to bring a heavy coat. And, I assume they had heat in the mountains, which they do. It's just not functioning properly. I think it's on generator backup or something. Anyway, here we are. Thank you for being here tonight. I hope that you will stick around and hang out. I have said publicly, and I do believe it. I think it's the thing. I think 2026 will be the year that live selling really kind of hits and becomes normalized and becomes not the way, but a way that selling is done. And the projections worldwide for live selling are pretty wild. And you guys know, full transparency, I advertise for Palm Street. I normally would have their banner right behind me. I'm here on the road in North Carolina, though. And so Palm Street was a little bit of a early adopter, forefront on this. But we've seen MorphMarket adopt this and not only adopt it, create the live selling platform, but it is launched. People are doing it. And Charlie at Reagan Renee Royal Pythons, who experiments all the time, tries out different selling strategies. He's always learning, evolving. He did his first event there, and we're going to dive into that tonight. That's on MorphMarket. I did one on Palm Street a week ago, and we'll pick apart what live selling in 2026 looks like. So thank you all for being here. If you didn't see, I'm live from the East Coast tonight. I'm in North Carolina. I say the East Coast. I'm in the mountains of North Carolina. I'm actually nowhere near the coast, but I'm in the mountains of North Carolina. And I've been really inspired, and I just thought I'd share the story a little bit. This is a wonderful place to be as far as a house and lodging, but the place itself is way better. This is right in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And those of y'all that don't know, I was born 22 miles from here in Asheville, Mission Memorial Hospital. And so I really love the place. There's family here. There's friends here. I still own a little bit of property just north of here in Spruce Pine. And September of 2024, just under a year and a half ago, Hurricane Helene came through this part of the country, as well as some others, but particularly hit very, very hard Asheville and just east of Asheville. And quite literally, there's a town just up the river called Chimney Rock that literally the river washed away from the flooding. So much rain from the hurricane came down from the mountains into the valleys, into where these rivers are formed. It washed Chimney Rock into the lake called Lake Lure, and Lake Lure is a dammed the physical structure of the dam, the dammed river. And that's how the town was formed in 1927, Lake Lure. And that town filled with the soot, not the town, the lake filled with the soot and the sediment of these smaller towns up the river that had been literally washed away. I mean, this is biblical Appalachian kind of stuff that happens. And it struck me that what an exercise and lesson in, character comes from struggle. And whether it's, I don't know if redemption's the word. I'm not trying to get religious here, but the character of the town, to see it rebuilt, to see it reopen. They'll have weddings this year on the lakefront. They'll have collegiate row teams doing their spring scrimmages here. I'm talking Columbia University comes here to this little town. University of Toronto comes and does their rowing. And the town is resilient and built back. It's really surreal to see. The lake is still basically empty. So there's this just big gorge. But you could tell that there's a lake there and there's docks out to nowhere. And that lake, they've started to refill it up, and they've started to close the dam and fill it back up, which is part of why I'm here right now, doing some consulting and hospitality, getting ready for the upcoming season for this company and this client of mine. So thought I'd share that. We all have tough times, but we probably didn't have our town wash away in the past 18 months or have to face fishing out somebody's town out of our town lake that creates the economy of our town. So anyway, for what it's worth, inspiring place to be, inspiring people. And like I say, it's a place where my roots run deep. So live from Lake Lure, North Carolina, it's Proper Royals tonight. Like I say, I got Charlie Ryan from Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. Charlie and I have been friends for quite some time now in the ball python industry. I love his analytics. I love his there's a curiosity that goes with experimentation. Charlie rarely sits still when it comes to his strategy. I would say I'll let him speak for himself in a minute, but I would say his strategy is to experiment and evolve, both from advertising, both from value to customer, from learning and expanding. He's been programming various calculators with AI, programming in Python, which I don't believe he has a background in. He just has a background in learning and being curious. So all of those things I really enjoy when Charlie's here. I pick his brain. We learn and motivate, learn from each other and motivate each other. So please welcome back to the Proper Royal stage. That is Charlie Ryan from Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. What's going on, Charlie?
What's up, Adam? What's up, everybody in the chat? I'm excited to be back. This should be a fun one.
I think it will be, and I'm feeling good. Thanks for being here. I mean, I'm out on the road, so I'm in this like temporary setup, but the digs are good. And I was like, you know what? Let's just have I'll just use the living room as the background. And I was experimenting. This iPhone technology is really sweet, man. It follows you around. I don't know if you saw me walking around. It was still following me through the dining room,
I did not know the phone could do that.
If you have an Apple laptop and an Apple phone, but you make the iPhone, the camera for StreamYard, and it has a setting called center stage. And you just select that. It's even got various lighting options. I won't go through it right now, but anyhow, pretty neat to experiment around and mess around with. And I'm honestly, I have to admit, like I like the home studio better, but this is a pretty good.
No, this is good. I when you first popped on, I was like, what's he doing here? He put up like a whole new with the fireplace and all. I didn't know you were in a rental place. I was like, what is he working with?
Yeah, I'm in this Airbnb up in the mountains, and it's neat, but like I say, it comes with some challenges, man. They aren't quite prepared for these cold blast temperatures, but that's all right. I have if that's my biggest problem in life is a-okay, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah. How's your family? How are you all? I know you all. What'd you get from this blizzard? Any action out there?
Yeah, I think my town got just under 13 inches. The town where I work got a little over 14. Which is a significant amount for us. We got just a couple of weeks ago, we got about 10 inches, and that was kind of a lot. That's every 5 years or so, kind of maybe 10 years kind of a thing. And then this one here up getting into 14, getting over a foot. That's a 10 to 20 year kind of event. Even up here in the Northeast, it's a lot. So the only saving grace is it's pretty warm. So and they're so good now at plowing. It's crazy. Within less than 24 hours. I mean, during the storms, the major roads are clear because they're pretty much plowing constantly. It's insane.
Right. Yeah, they know it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. By the next morning, they're starting to get into neighborhoods and stuff and clear it up. Now, this had 45-mile-per-hour winds tied to it, this one. So trees came down and stuff too. So I know there's a couple people around without power and stuff like that. I know that there's some roads that still today they were trying to clear. Some roads were still impassable, but for the most part, everything was back to business as usual, like 24 hours later.
Oh, that's good, man. Yeah, you talk about the wind. I flew into Charlotte Sunday night just before all this came, or as it was coming through. And man, that plane was doing this. There's jokes about it, but like people were like getting religious on that plane for us to get on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Religious just taking off.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, well, it worked. I mean, here we are, so we're okay. But yeah, it was. It's been kind of a neat trip. So I'm glad you guys are well. Your snakes are well. Your temps are good, and all that though.
We're good. I mean, two things on that. One, I don't think our neighborhood lost power anyway, but a couple of years ago, once the collection kind of started to hit a certain dollar value, which isn't as high as probably I think people would think, where the break point is, where I think it makes sense. But being in this area where this can happen, we lost for the first couple of years we lived here, we lost power once a year. Usually in the summer, but God forbid it's not in the summer, it's going to be a bad day. And even in the summer, you don't want it to necessarily throw off temps for a couple of days. I mean, too hot can be a bad thing too, but I do have this built out in the basement, so I probably wouldn't have an issue with that. But you don't want to throw temps off too and throw things out of like whatever rhythm, that you have going on. I know some people even purposely manipulate temps and stuff, thinking it's part of the cycle. I can't say whether that works better or worse because I've only more or less done it my one way. I've kept the room a steady state, but I wouldn't want it to have cycles that I'm not ready for happening at whim. So what I'm trying to say is we put a whole house generator on a couple of years ago when we got a little more serious about this, just knowing that the risk was there of having something bad happen. So it's really now everything runs.
It's really a layer of insurance. Even in Minnesota, obviously temps are a big concern. My boiler can operate separate from electrical, so I have gas and electrical redundancy. So one goes out for whatever reason, which is power is most likely. The gas burner will still heat the radiant floor heat. And if the gas for some reason goes out, I do have electric heaters in there that I basically never use. They're purely backup or supplemental heat. So believe it or not, in the wintertime, I'm pumping heat out of there because of the rodents, how warm they keep it. So anyhow, I'm glad to hear that everything's going well. Let's talk about what inspired you to jump on this live selling feeling right now. You did an event on MorphMarket. Tell us not so much the results, but kind of what inspired you to do it. And was it an auction or was it a live selling or was it a little bit of both? Give us the beginning of it.
So as far as what inspired me, I wish I had like some, grand intelligent answer. What inspired me to do it is, there is, like you said, you've been saying a little bit. I listened to a lot of Gary Vee. I think we probably talked about it last time I was on the show. He's out here screaming from the rooftops that live selling is going to be the future.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so I said, you know what? I've more or less committed to not doing shows. And I'm not going to go into all of why that is, but the simplest version is I feel personally, rather than move the animals to the show and back, I'll take I can take all those hours and just market through the week, right?
Yes, sir. Right.
For better or worse, doesn't mean that's the right answer at all, or that I'm steering people that way, but that was just a personal choice I made in my direction. So, and a lot of the stuff I do isn't really show stuff. so for the first time in a long time, I had accumulated a number of things that were misses, so to speak, right? And then there's, all the hype with live selling, and then MorphMarket's running the thing, like get the most RSVPs and get some kind of credit off your MorphMarket membership, which I don't think I even got close to, despite what I feel like was a pretty strong effort. But so I said, you know what, let's give it a shot. I had the highest inventory I've had probably ever on MorphMarket. We're just now starting to warm up where I can ship. We're getting into tax season. I think I got a little ahead of myself. In hindsight, I might have waited a couple more weeks. If I do it again, I would probably do it close to this time every year, but probably a few weeks later to let a few more people get tax returns in. I just thought the thing for me was the opportunity, right? Coming out of the winter where I had a high inventory, finally opened up to ship until the storm hit this week, and that's got me behind.
Right. Yeah.
Finally opened up, warm enough to ship, and some stuff that was on the lower end, so to speak, that I thought might do okay in an auction. And then I just wanted to give it a shot, just see what it's all about. I didn't want to assume forever that the way I was doing it was the right way and like going to be the end all be all. So I said, let me see if there's something else out here that I like, and maybe I'll love it. I don't know that I love it, but we could talk more about that.
Yeah. Well, and that, there's one of the questions I just jotted down while you were talking is, what are in your estimation, or maybe in retrospect you changed your opinion, but initially, what was the benefit or the value proposition of being an early adopter? Why try something unproven early when your inventory has value? When you say to yourself, I think it's worth this, I'm going to take a risk, because at an auction, you almost inevitably have to start it at a lower price than what you think it's worth. Otherwise, it's kind of counterproductive. Maybe it gets where you want it to be, but often in auctions, it doesn't. Why take that risk? What was the thought on that? Or was it a low risk? Or talk through some of that.
I mitigated the risk some, and it may have hurt me. It may not. I got to be careful, because it's one data point, right? So I got to be careful making statements like this is how live auctions are. It's one data point, and there's things I may have gotten wrong in it, right? But the early adopter piece that you mentioned, that was a part of the draw for me. Now, MorphMarket kind of just kicked this off. It's early on. It has a potential to become a really popular thing. Auctions more than I would like. I'm not going to get into a gripe session about it, but more than I would like, the regular auctions through MorphMarket are really taking it. There's some people who just watch those. They don't look at the regular listings anymore.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't want to say I missed the boat on that one, because it's not strategically, it's not a fit. I had to be careful with distractions. I do advise people of this, to be careful with distractions. Know your customer, know your strategy, know your plan. And, you can't, if you're constantly changing things, there's a percent step down or a percent loss sometimes when you change, most of the times when you change things. And if you're constantly in a state of experimenting, then you're constantly running a couple percent below where you would be if you got really good at one thing. Right.
Right.
But I said, this is one that has potential to be big and take off. So let me see if I like it. Let me see if I can build some hype around it. I also was curious if I could, through the live, the normal auction format is lowest bidder, right? By definition. Through doing a live event, I wanted to see, would that break that mold a little bit? Could you get maybe stuff to go at a really good price still if you build enough hype around it and stuff like that? And again, one data point, but I didn't really see that. And I'll go through, I have no problem. I'll go through like all the numbers of how everything did. Right. Min animal, max animal, average value, stuff like that, how much total I made. But that's not really what I saw. So refresh me here, because I got a little on a tangent. The original kind of question.
That's okay. Well, you addressed it, sort of what the value of experimenting early is.
Yeah.
And I've been a little bit, I've actually, I forget this sometimes. I was the first approved ball python seller on Palm Street. There were some people selling ball pythons that weren't quite approved under other brands as selling other things, and they would slip them in. So I'm not saying that I'm the first person that ever sold a ball python on Palm Street, but the first approved seller was me. And the thing for me on this early adopter is getting ahead in the knowledge and the experience and the experiment. So I don't want to just do it willy-nilly, but when for example, with Palm Street, and a lot of this is analogous to MorphMarket, it was an established company. They had a proven track record of success at what they were doing. And it was a great platform. So I said, yeah, this is probably worth trying. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. You hinted at it a little bit of if you get a jump promoting, like to me, the whether it's true or not, the formula in my mind is get a bunch of people excited there. I actually started all my auctions at $1. I did 32 snakes with a $1 start. So that gets everybody bidding. On the other hand, you kind of threaten to toss some cookies if you start something for $1 that you want a few $100s for. That's a big gap to get to. And if you go bigger than that, so maybe later in the show we might discuss or try and figure out what our own definitions are for what we would put in these. Because the other part of it is it's one thing to be an early adopter, but if you're selling stuff and the buyers aren't early adopters, it doesn't matter. Like you got to have the buyers got to be into this thing too. So it feels like something that's got to build like, okay, the platform's good. Now it attracts the buyers. Now the sellers upgrade. Now the buyers get comfortable with a higher upgrade. And it's kind of got to build over time, I think is where I'm at.
Well, part of the draw for me was if you go and you look through the live page and you look at the RSVP function that they have, right? And you see there were 150, 200s on some of the RSVPs. And I said, that's a pretty significant amount. When I'm looking through a lot of like the podcast type stuff lately, you don't see 100 eyeballs in a night.
That's right. Yeah.
So I saw that, and then I peeked in a few and I saw 60, 70 people watching at a time. So I said, if nothing else, there's some exposure factor there. So that was a part of the draw. And then, like I said, had it been an overwhelming success and something that I wanted to turn around and keep doing, I thought being out there early, learning it, like you said, I think that was a big part of the thing for me. I don't know that it's something I would do regularly. I'm thinking I may do a once or twice a year. I'm thinking of 2 times a year is probably my strategy. But there was a thought in the back of my mind that, will this be something I'm doing on a monthly basis? Like, will this be an overwhelming hit to where monthly I'm going to come back? I would have had to see more interest in a little bit more mid to high tier stuff for me to probably feel worth the effort to do this monthly.
Yeah.
It moved a lot of stuff out, which is why so there was a lot that it was successful on one hand on this. And I'm happy with the result, but there's a lot of buts tied to that. And a lot of just being realistic it took me a few days to process what just happened. Because when you're done, I was like, my head was spinning. I literally went up in my kitchen and told my wife, like, and I do talking in front of 200 people on a regular basis. Like I was like, my head is spinning. I need to think about this a little bit. Like I wasn't sure what even had just happened. There's some aftermath because if you have a lot of sales through it, you have a lot of messages waiting for you when you get done, and a lot of people with questions. So,
I mean, can you do this? Can you send me a picture of this? What was, the weight of this, which is all fair questions. But when it's, how many animals did you, and they were all auctions that you did?
Yeah. So you go through and you pre-populate your listings. And this is stuff I wish I knew before. The biggest complaint I had was, there's no way until literally, if you set it at 2:00, there is no way until 2:00 that I know of to see what the user interface on your end on the auction will be. To see like how you're going to interact with the chat, where it's going to be on the screen, if you can switch from one camera to, so I had 2 webcams and I couldn't figure out if I could switch from one to another. On an iPhone, there's a swap and you can swap front to back. But I couldn't swap from this camera here to one that's over at a light box. Not that I could figure out literally live as people were joining. So that was the one complaint I had and there was not a ton of information or even just pictures of here's what the user interface that I could find, at least. No offense to MorphMarket. I know there's some MorphMarket hate that goes around. People think they're the evil empire. I've had excellent relationship with MorphMarket the entire time I've been in the industry. But so that's just me, just my personal experience. It doesn't mean anything anyone else has told you is not true, but I could tell you my experience has been great. But I couldn't find enough information on how to set this thing up going in. I felt very like, okay, I'm live. And I literally had to tell people as they're joining, I am figuring this out right now, real time, guys. Just bear with me. But people were cool about it. We lost sound. Or I did. Can you guys hear Adam? Chat, help me out. Let me know if I need to bounce back out or if Adam's got something to fix.
Check. How about that?
Ah, gotcha.
All right, hang on. So I was trying to look up my stats on Palm Street, and just like you were saying, one of the faults or the things that you discover is that I couldn't get my Palm Street is almost solely based off of a cell phone, platform.
Gotcha.
So trying to get the stats, I switched the camera thinking that I was cool, but when I disconnected the phone, all right, now I'm on the phone camera. Let me get the phone anyway, I messed with stuff is what I'm saying.
Yep. So your question was, what did I do as an auction, right? And so the way that it's set up, what I could tell, you pre-populate all your listings you're going to do during it, and you can pick it as auction or not. I chose to go with auction, and then you pick a time per animal for the auctions. So I picked 2 minutes per animal. And so, yeah, it was an auction. You can queue up when they start. You really don't have an opportunity to stop one early or to skip one that I could find. So I was 44 listings of put it on for 2 minutes. And if a minute in, clearly no one's interested, we were kind of dead air. So I started having to do it. And this is part of why I was so like whirlwind, like tired after. I started having to try to do like song and dance for the last minute if an animal wasn't selling.
Right. Yeah. You don't want dead air because people just turn away at that.
I didn't want people to just bail. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, we'll start to show look, clearly no one wants this. And I kept being like scared someone's going to get confused and bid on the wrong animal. Like, do not bid. If you're not interested in the animal is in the bottom corner, this is something different. This is what's going next. And like trying to be like, talk about the next animal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, smart. Yeah.
This was its parent. Yeah. These were the parents, or this is a sibling of it. So maybe somebody will be interested. So I had like a Spectre Krypton. The super striped Kryptons are amazing. So when somebody wasn't bidding on the Spectre and it was just sitting dead air, I grabbed the super stripe and said, look, this is what you could make with it. 2 reasons. 1, to fill the dead air, and then 2, to maybe get somebody to go, oh, wow.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I do mine. Believe it or not, I know it sounds crazy to everybody. I do 30-second when I do auctions. Now, to your point that you were just bringing up, and I use Palm Street much more as a live selling platform rather than an auction platform. For all the reasons we've talked about, I generally don't auction my animals. They sell at shows, they sell on MorphMarket, they sell on Instagram, they sell on Palm Street. If I'm auctioning stuff, it's kind of like you're saying, I've got a maximum velocity or a maximum capacity that I've got to bring down. It's things that are not a year old, but from the previous season, and I've got the new stuff coming. Okay, they were misses wherever, fine. Let's see where the market is. And this is a little bit less of a popular opinion, but breeders I've largely already made my money on. Okay, I'll take what I get for them. They're not exactly sunk costs, but if I've made money on them and I'm not planning to use them in the future, I'm okay with take the market. So some people got a steal of a deal, a banana G-stripe female proven breeder. I don't remember exact dollar amount she went for, but it was under $200. I'll tell you that.
Sold one on mine.
What?
Sold one, almost a very similar animal on mine.
Yeah. So, but it's not because there was anything wrong. Just at a certain point, all of us should have genes or combos that become obsolete because we're breeding, we're holding back, we're raising up, and we're improving our stock. So on it goes to somebody else. So Sure, was it, quote, worth more? I think so. On the other hand, I've taken her to 5 or 6 shows at what I thought she was worth. She didn't sell. And the whole time I'm feeding, and this is a great opportunity for right now is the perfect time for somebody to get that animal and start pairing her. So anyway, there was a few things like that, some males like that. But generally I like Palm Street actually for a populated shop that I could show off some things that are in the shop. I might only sell 1 or 2 animals, but I'm selling them at retail and I'm building knowledge, education, basically a one-off solo show of this, except I'm in the shop and I'm cleaning or whatever it might be. So I really like it from that standpoint. And I don't use MorphMarket nearly as much as most people. For whatever reason, I don't find a whole lot of success on MorphMarket. That could be self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh, I don't use it that much, so I don't find that much success. Or do I not find that much success, then I don't use it. But I like live shows. My sweet spot is in-person live interactions, and then local here in the Minneapolis areas where, well, not here tonight, but generally. So I'm not familiar. Does MorphMarket limit the number of lives that you could do? Is there the opportunity to have a store inventory populated and you could run like just a live event that wasn't auctions? What's the what are the parameters of what MorphMarket allows?
It looks like there's the ability. I opted for auction, but it looks like there's ability to just run a live event, more like you're describing, where I just basically go on and just show different things and see if anybody wants it QVC style. Like I'm not like auctioning it down. I just opted. I didn't opt for that. I don't know why I went auction, other than my fear maybe was like you described. Like I've already, a lot of them had already been listed. I made sure to add some new releases. And I'll talk in a second. Remind me to come back to what all I listed, which is a sneak peek. The answer is everything, but I'll talk about why, I guess. But I was afraid like most of them had been posted already, at least for some period of time. Very few were less than a month old. There was a handful. So I said, maybe people have already stumbled across this. I don't want to just show the same stuff at the same price and go, well, now I'm live. Maybe it would have had a draw. Maybe it would have worked, but I was afraid of that. I wanted to get movement on this because my goal, honestly and truly, was to test the water. That's why, like I said, that I listed everything I had in my inventory, high end to low end. I said, I don't know what's going to go. I'm going to go with no preconceived notions. I'm going to list it all in this auction. And I'll talk about how I mitigated some risk on that, and it may hurt or help me in the long run and short term. But like I said, I pretty much put it all up there and said, let's get some stuff. There was a part of me that did want some stuff to clear, though. I'm getting ready for the next season of babies. I've had a couple of leftover males and things like that I was like, you know what? If these go cheap and it gets some excitement or some movement or something in the pot, then fine. And at this point, like you said, you don't want to call anything kind of a throwaway or like whatever, but there's breeders and stuff in there that paid for themselves already. A male that I know I'm never going to use. I'm feeding it and I'm keeping it for a holdout price. And, I wouldn't mind if it went. So it was kind of a crowdsourced, what's sort of wholesale, like
right. Exactly. Yeah.
Is almost where it landed. It wasn't the intent, but it's almost where it landed just by what sold.
Well, I've described the Palm Street auctions in the past as bringing up the bottom of wholesale versus approaching the top of retail. So if there are things that, like you say, you would have wholesaled anyhow, or you would have been susceptible to how much for 15 of these at a live show or an expo, then those are really good fits for auctions. The live selling component, I really, I know you said that you were kind of concerned, hey, they've already been listed. What's it being live going to do? For me, I like it because I can maybe make up for questionable camera. I'm not the greatest photographer. I don't have, how do they stand out in a static photo? Now suddenly I'm interacting, I'm showing it. If people have questions, I can answer them in real time. What
what is super gravel? That doesn't look like the other thing. No, that's gravel. Yeah. This is super gravel. Here's what, I could show a progression of gravel to super gravel clown to, all right, now here's what happens if we put codoms on it. This might be why you want this. And you just get a deeper story and a deeper interaction if you get the eyeballs. So that's the harder part. Were you able to look up any specs on, or stats on the number of views that you got and sort of tie that to a sales success or not failure, but lack of success?
That is an excellent question. I'm actually going to peek now real time and see if they have anything after. I didn't notice anything right away after the fact. But I'll see if they had anything after. Like if I go to my live events, does it show the old event concluded? RSVPs, yes. Queue size 44. It doesn't give me that I can see here or understand. It doesn't give me stats.
It
doesn't give me stats on how many views I had. I can tell you through the course of it, I don't remember seeing lower than 60-something people in there at any given time, and sometimes upwards of 100. So it was really exciting, the number of eyeballs. Like I was this is a lot of people.
That's pretty good then.
Yeah.
So on mine, I pushed mine only for about a week, but it also, the thumbnail was a $1 start for everything. My was 30 plus animals at $1. I got 243 viewers in mine. It doesn't mean all at once, but through the course of it. And I actually thought that was pretty interesting that even on Palm Street, because if you think of ball pythons, I think people think of MorphMarket much sooner than they think of Palm Street. So I was pretty happy with those number of views. And I think we're kind of on Palm Street anyway. When something new and exciting hits, a whole bunch of people try it. Yeah. And then a whole bunch of people go, that's not what I thought it was. And then everybody says, that's not what I thought it was. So it all falls down. Yeah. And then it kind of picks back up. We've seen it with Bitcoin. You see it with all sorts of tech things. That always happens. So I don't think it's the most opportune time right now for Palm Street from what I hear of the noise of the community and all that. But then there's 43 people that show up, and all of my snakes did sell, but of course I started them at $1. Nothing went for $1, but the average price was fairly low. I moved 32 of them. I took home $2,509. So, $75 to $80 average per animal. A few of them went for a couple hundred. A few of them went for, $18 and that kind of thing. But the reality is the ones that went for $18, maybe if I had really hustled, I could have gotten $40 for at a show after I paid a vendor's fee and traveled and went through all that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And Bobby brought up a good conversation point here. He specifically was saying the advantage of the sales potential after the show. I would say even giving a customer a great experience and having the opportunity to give the customer a great experience, you have their contact, you have their CRM kind of potential. They could be the first person to get an email on the next event that you do. Yep. They could be the first person, I noticed you bought a male double het ultra male clown. It was only $18, but I got a female that might fit that. And that might be a $250 animal next time. Doesn't mean they'll buy it, but it does mean it's a hot lead, and you have their info right there. It's there for you if you want to make use of it in the future.
So Bobby brings it. Yeah, it's an excellent point. 2 people who won animals in the auction turned around and added more animals to their box within 24 hours after. That was interesting. And then also 2 people who did not win any animals in the auction bought animals that were in the auction that they saw in the auction at a higher price than they would have gone in the auction. They came back after the fact and bought them. So there was like an aftershock from it of just, like I said, that exposure and stuff. And I think you said something earlier that I probably glassed over and understated, but it's a really good point. What I'm remembering is hearing Bob Vu talk about one time Darian from MorphMarket calling him and saying, don't you know that animals with more than one photo sell X% faster than animals with one photo. Why don't you have 2 photos on your like? And it's just like a funny anecdote from Bob Vu, but it stood out to me ever since, and it fits in with what you're saying. The fact that I can see it in 3 dimensions and I can hear that it's not breathing weird, and I can like, you know what I mean? Like that for some people, especially at some tiers, is a huge draw and will actually make them feel much more comfortable. You know, so I think that's a great point, but it's also a good point. Like I said, the after sale piece. There was something else that I was going to say on the topic.
That's all right. There's, you know, in some of these like sales and business studies that I do, you know, there's all these like corporate like catchphrases. One of them I heard one time was, how do you take a person from curiosity to commitment?
Yes.
What is that spectrum? What is that experience?
Yep.
And I find live selling speeds that up. And in live selling, there's not 4 other ads around my ad, my moment of converting curiosity into commitment. So, you know, that's what live expos are great for. But to me, live selling can be even better because there's not the distractions in the room.
Yep.
I don't have to maintain somebody's eye contact because they're in front of me. Now I have to get their butt in the seat to begin with. So that takes some marketing and the platform. But that's sort of one of my pitches that makes sense to me on it, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. The distractions, the ability to wander, even at a live show, right? There's, and it's why auctions probably have a bit of a draw too, is the sense of loss, which is a huge draw for us as humans, right? So if I don't buy this in this next 2 minutes, it's not at this price anymore. If I don't buy this at the show and I go home, I'll be kicking myself next week. Should have bought that animal at the show. Oh, there's like, we always have that FOMO, right? That like that fear of like we left it behind and left something on the table. So I think there is a big draw there. You talk about butts in the seat though. I did a lot around trying to drum that up.
You did a lot. Talk about like you were running parallel strategies too, not just like enthusiasm. You talk about the various strategies that you employed on this.
Yep. So so what's interesting too is what I know for a fact is several people, which was a cool feeling for me. I was talking with my wife about it today. Several people discovered MorphMarket from me. So during this event, which was pretty cool because I thought it'd be vice versa. Hopefully people will find me on the lives on MorphMarket, but no, I brought people to it. But I attacked it about a week prior. And so the two, like I said earlier, in hindsight, I'd probably go a little later in the year, just a few weeks, just to give a little more time to breathe on the tax returns. But I wanted to be ahead of the curve on that too. I didn't want everybody else to have already gotten everybody's tax return money. So I jumped early. I didn't want to compete with Valentine's Day though. So I waited a week after Valentine's Day, tried to let people get another paycheck between them and the flowers that they had to buy or whatever. So
sure.
But I again, to the fear of loss thing, so when I'm a big fan of, if you post a reel or some type of short form content, a hook, something that gets them in the first few seconds to look. So you have to have something attractive on the first frame, maybe a word that's a draw. The word that's the crazy word in the sentence should be the highlighted colorful word, like snake or like bite or something like that should be the word that's highlighted. Not that I think people should put bite videos out there. Don't kill me, but don't stone me. But
I had a high performing bite video. Fair
enough
from the Palm Street auction, man.
Yes, I saw that. It was hooked on you.
There you go.
Yes, I saw. Yes, so yes, I saw that. So the short version is, I said I wanted to get people to feel like if I don't go, I'm losing something. And then an excuse to hype it all week that wasn't just, I'm just asking you to show up to buy my animals. I wanted to give something. I feel like they, build some reciprocity and things like that. So every day I posted in the morning a reel that said, this is the reel for today. It's Monday. But the first frame was giveaway. And I figured out halfway through the week what I should have known earlier in the week, because I just said it, which was to have something attractive on the first frame, which is not my face, which is a snake. Also because on Meta, on Facebook and Instagram, I can't say I'm selling snakes out loud, even though I'm completely licensed to do so and completely legit with like every form of government at this point, including my local zoning. But that's a different story for a different day. But so I just showed a snake. It said giveaway. Who's gonna scroll past that, right? And then pulled the snake down and then said it's Monday. We're doing the live event 2/22. So February 22nd at 2 p.m. Right now, I'm going to tell you how you can earn credits. You can go in with money in your pocket, house money for the live auction. So you could walk away with something, almost free or whatever. And then I just ran through, tried to build a little more organic, cheating a little bit, but tried to build a little more organic sharing around it by saying, like it, share it, comment a friend who'd be interested in a live auction as well. So that now people are putting in their story. And it had great engagement. I mean, one of the biggest successes out of this, I'll actually check now because now I should have every day of the 7-day period in. But one of the biggest successes for me out of this was the follower gain and the viewers on Instagram itself. So if I go to that, what do you call it?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Did you gain followers on Instagram from the promo?
Significantly doing this. Yeah. That's or what I feel was significant for me, because if you remember, I have 4.3 or something thousand followers or something like that, right? So for me, percentage share, it was pretty good. 163 in a week. 163 added followers in a week, which I fal like was
that's real solid. Yeah,
pretty solid ad. So I would do that in the morning, and I'd say, okay, like, share it, and blah blah. And tonight we're going to spin off a winner for a credit. And so then and of course I had to use AI. So people would comment all day, and then I would take the screenshots, dump them into ChatGPT, have it give me all the names. I'd put the names on a wheel, and that night do a live. So now I'm doing a reel every day and a live every day. That night I would do a live. I'd spin off the winner, and then I'd spin off how much credit they won. And I toyed with doing credit first and then the winner to make people wait to see who won still, instead of like, oh, I didn't win, get out before the credit, to keep people through the live, because it turns into a reel after. And one of the big things I've learned with almost any of the content is the algorithms tend to be okay with people getting out in the first whatever percent of time. The skip rate early is okay, but you have to get to a point where the skip rate stops and it holds steady. And then they think, okay, people do like and watch this. It seems like if people are skipping in the middle or towards the end, it's like, oh, people don't like this video. So sometimes shaving the last few seconds off. If you don't need it, I take time off. My best performing reels lately are like 13 seconds. Because
my sweet spot is 12 seconds that I
exactly reels. Because the skip rate is so low because they don't even have time to skip it. And the replay rate is high because they accidentally stay into the next time even. So
they go back to it.
So So anyway, I did that every single day. Every single day I gave away a credit. I'll go through when I go through the numbers too, which we'll do here, I guess soon. I gave away a credit every single day leading up to it. And then I did one right at the beginning of the live too. The thought is I'm be really transparent with anybody who ever watches this. I wanted to seed the pot on the auction. If I'm being very honest, I was like, I want to be sure. I don't want to get up there and not have anybody bid anything. So some people are going to feel more comfortable now bidding $50 more than you because they have a $50 credit in their pocket.
Right.
They're going to feel like, if I don't use this credit, it's gone. I actually had people message me like, oh, so the credit's gone after the auction. And I'm like, it's going to be, I'm going to tell you right now, it's for the auction only. It's going to be gone after the auction. It's okay if you don't use it. Don't feel bad. You didn't lose anything. It was a free thing I made up that I gave you for clicking on something. But yes, it'll be gone after the auction if you don't use it. So, and so some people actually did. Some people didn't use it even. So it's interesting.
Well, that's good. I mean, we always want them to participate, and of course we want the bids to go higher, but it also shows good restraint. If an animal's not right for somebody, there's no need to buy it just because you have, or to chase down something just because you have that. So I actually take that as a reasonable thing. Oh, look at the mea culpas here. You get the call out and the apology.
Man. And the apology. I appreciate that.
That's
one more thing I did on the marketing though. So in the morning after I posted the reel, I boosted it on Facebook and Instagram, paid advertising. I was really careful what I put in there so I could do that. And I paid advertised it all day until about a half hour before I was going to do the spin. And then I canceled the ad so I wasn't wasting money, which was a weird timing thing I had to do too, because if I was willing to spend $10 a day, which is about what I wanted to try to spend on it, I had to put it at 30 because it was about an 8-hour window. So it spends at that rate to get me to the 10 by the end of it. So sneak peek into the numbers, I spent about $70 almost on advertising going into this thing. So that comes right off the bottom line, right?
Right. So a few things, and I like this teasing the numbers. So stick with us, everybody. We are going to get to this. You said that I thought was really cool, and this is not a knock on MorphMarket. You said a few people said they discovered MorphMarket because of your promoing.
Yep.
And I think if the audience thinks about that, we forget that the market is bigger than MorphMarket. There is an audience out there. There are people that will buy snakes. Look beyond MorphMarket. Then you said you ran ads on Facebook, Facebook and Instagram, which is Meta. I'm a massive fan of that. I did it's been 2 weeks now, I think. Anyway, I did a Patreon video of how I use AI to write Facebook and Instagram ads. I spent $35 to run an ad, and I made a video of how I ran the ad. So I actually did the thing and made a video of it. I sold 3 snakes that week from that ad. So $35 turned into $1,200. That's a Facebook. Like that is, you can find it out there. There's a place for every animal. It could be an auction for a certain animal, for another higher level pet tier. It could be Facebook for a serious collector. It could be retail on MorphMarket. There's live shows, man. The different places are really, really great. So I really encourage people to look outside of just one thing. There's so much opportunity if you experiment out there. And I think you brought those to life really well.
You keyed me into the Meta advertising because you've talked about it before on the show.
I love it. It's the easiest hack ever, man. It does great.
It was for this purpose. I thought it made sense because it's similar to what you described before when you talked about advertising in your region before shows, right? And I said, well, my region in this case is anywhere in the US before this is a show. And I said, I'll just try to draw people in like I would try to draw them into a reptile show. They may have never heard of MorphMarket. And I had some where you could get some, I experimented all over the place. Some I had it take them just to my profile. And some of the times when I ran the ad, because you can pick what you're targeting them to do, right? Some I sent it to the event link on MorphMarket and just RSVP so that they would get the alert the day of the event. And I believe that that's how, again, just advertising to the general public on MorphMarket. Here's a picture of the snake. So if you're interested in snakes and you're interested in potential giveaway, that gets them to watch. And then if they're interested in, oh, wait, there's live auctions for these? Wait, hold on. And then they go to it. There is, like you said, exactly my thought was a large portion of the population who didn't know that exists, that format to buy one.
Yeah, it's so, and it's a testament to MorphMarket that we get comfortable thinking that's the place, that's the finish line, figure out how to be successful there. Don't forget all the people that you came up with, or that maybe that you've advanced beyond, that you can bring with you behind you, so to speak. So audience, stick around. We're going to pay some bills, but right after that, we'll get into how Charlie figured out his initial pricing to start all the animals at, and then some real life numbers and analytics. I don't have any of my props. I can't show any logos tonight, but check out Redline Shipping. Even after that auction on Palm Street, you'll find on Palm Street, Redline is integrated with Palm Street, as well as the other shipping companies. You have a choice of who you can ship with and who you'd like to ship with on Palm Street. But I choose more Redline because of the customer service that you can actually call, get insight, how to ship. Temps are still crazy. Deliveries are crazy right now. Ton of the country, millions of people are under a blizzard. You might want to check with somebody that you can actually pick up a phone. Yes, that costs a little bit of money, not to make the phone call, but to do business. But the service really over delivers, in my opinion. So go check them out. Shedtesting.com is migrating to Phenom.com, excuse me, Phenom. You will see Phenom slowly start to replace the Shedtesting.com name. It's still Charlie Williams behind all of the testing, the DNA analytics on your shed tests. Same great quality, same great service, same great value and speed. Charlie delivers shed test results incredibly fast, highest scientific standards with the lowest amount of human variables involved. Go check out shedtesting.com and keep an eye out for when the transition to Phenom comes. Just know that again, is the same great company and service behind there. Sarah and Josh at Sundog Serpents. You might have seen them this weekend at the Tampa Repticon. They're down in Orlando, Florida. They're people that I've done business with, vended with. I currently do breeding programs with them. We're working on some clown monsoon ingredients that is pretty cool. I tell you that not to brag, but I tell you that because I trust them significantly, both with my business and with my animals. Go check out Sarah and Josh. I just got some fresh updates and notes from them, either coming available or available now. They have TSK Zebra combos and ingredients available. If you're into the TSK Xanthic project, I highly recommend you checking out Sarah and Josh at Sundog. Stranger Hypo Clown ingredients and combos. TSK Clowns, they've been working in the TSK Clown sandbox for quite some time. They have quite a selection there for you. And ingredients available in the Hypo Ultra Pied project as well. So Sarah and Josh at Sundog Serpents, please go check them out. Next, Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. Pretty good guy here, Charlie Ryan, right out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Go to ReaganRenee.com. You don't have to type Royal Pythons after it. It's ReaganRenee.com. He's got his full inventory there. If you buy from ReaganRenee.com, you're going to get free shipping from Charlie on that. I think he's still running, you can verify or not, I think he's still running a Proper 10 discount. Get yourself a 10% discount just for watching Proper Royals live. So free shipping, 10% discount. And he's got these really innovative calculators. I mentioned them in passing earlier, but using the analytics of his professional life, applying it to the ball python world. And Charlie, you could correct me here in a minute, but calculators on both sort of a cost value benefit analysis. Now you have to enter in the valuations, but he's going to give you analytics on that. That's all free on ReaganRenee.com. Same with the cost benefit analysis of testing a particular clutch. Again, you're going to enter the valuations, but his analytics are going to give you input to make better decisions and help you advance quicker. So really cool opportunities. Go check out ReaganRenee.com. That is Charlie's website right there. Keeper Kane has a YouTube channel. That's Kane and Michelle Fritz Wallace. They're in Tennessee. They keep a variety of, I would say, fauna, I guess. They've got big snakes, very active ball python breeders and active in the community. Well, there are tarantulas, but I'm thinking of inverts and arachnids as well as aquatics. It's all documented on the Keeper Kane channel. That's right here on YouTube. You're already on the platform. Go check out Keeper Kane. And it's always safe for family viewing, safe for work, that kind of stuff, wholesome entertainment and content. Last but not least is B&S Reptilia. That is Chris Shelley, business partner of mine at Tinley. We vend the October Tinley together. We own some animals together. And I should probably start hyping this up. She's finally getting big enough. We own one of the very few rainbow clowns in existence, and she this fall will be ready to breed. So you'll start to see some real action and movement in that project from us. We invested in that girl about a year ago, so pretty cool to see that evolve. Chris specializes in ball pythons, blood pythons, colubrids of all shapes and sizes, locality, boas. If you're into the subset of colubrids called Pituophis, the bull pines, the bull snakes and the pine snakes, he's your guy. All of those, he is a well-known, respected resource on all of those animals, and he's got them available for you to purchase. He'll have the knowledge of whether they're legal in your area and any permits that you need, and he will help you to make sure that you have the paperwork to get those. That is Chris Shelley at B&S Reptilia. Last but not least, there's usually a banner behind me that is Palm Street. Palm Street brings all Proper Royals live content to you ad-free every week, keeps me going. And I think they do a great job. We're talking live selling tonight. Charlie just did his first live auction event on MorphMarket. I've been doing some live selling on Palm Street myself for the past, actually April will be 2 years, coming up on 2 years now. And we've been picking that apart tonight. Charlie recently did an auction, and we're going to get into the actual numbers, the transparency, and business insights that you come here for. So, Charlie, thanks again for being here tonight. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time. You're always generous with hanging out on the show. So, you know what? I'm sorry. I forgot my initial excitement to get into the show tonight. This Sunday, guys, I'm vending in Des Moines, Iowa at the Cold Blooded Expo show, Des Moines, Iowa, this Sunday. On the topic we just said, you'll probably see some Meta, Instagram, Facebook ads. I will be posting an ad for the event and some animals I'll have there. But that is this Sunday in Des Moines, Iowa. And coming up on the show next week, I got Morphforge. The following week, I got Chris Eaton from the Fat Man Nation. He's going to be talking about the current Deeds Not Words campaign that he's running with Jay from Greenline Morphs. And then the following week after that, we have Jared from Gem Exotics. He's doing some killer media with really incredible content. He's going to come on the show and talk about some of the stuff that he's working on. So cool lineups coming up, and I'll be out and about and, you know, bending a little bit, getting out among the people, man. I love that stuff. So, Charlie, I don't want to make people wait too long on the numbers, but I had one philosophical question. I think you said you ran everything that you had listed in inventory. How did you calculate a starting price? I realize not everybody's a psychopath like me and starting things at $1. What did you start things out? How did you hedge your risk?
I did not start everything at $1. No, for most items, well, there were a few. Let me go. There are a few that I was like, you know what, this mail, if this just goes, I'll be happy. So let me back up one step and say I did free shipping on everything on the auction.
Nice benefit. Okay.
I did not want people to have to think while calculating in the 2-minute window. Oh, and then maybe it's going to be $50 for shipping, or have an assumption that shipping was going to be $90 or something higher and try to keep that in their pocket. And I just said, I put the starting bid. So there's a few, what I'm trying to say is there's a few that I was like, if this just goes for shipping and I get maybe a new contact, a new customer, friend, whatever, fine. Like, so there were a few that I put at $45 as their starting bid.
Okay.
They were just
started it as the price of shipping, essentially.
Pastel red stripe, or $40, I think. Pastel red stripe triple het mail. And I said, this is a smaller guy. He'll probably go for it'll probably be $40 to ship it, about anywhere except maybe Washington State, right? That might run me a little more. So for most of the other stuff, I about cut the price in half. I don't have great and I went to ChatGPT and I thought about almost every move. Including like,
how I know you well enough. I know you analyzed it, man.
This was the one move where I didn't put a ton of thought into it. I found myself overthinking it, and I said, I'm just going to cut them in half. If the best thing I can say, and we talked about earlier about wholesale and things like that. If somebody walked up to me and said, I'll buy everything you have on your MorphMarket for 50% right now, I'd give you 50% for the entire inventory, I'd say, yeah, okay, fine, take it. Right. So that was kind of my logic behind I'll put them all at 50%. Like I said, the exception being a couple. I was a little leery. Like I said, I put everything low to high. So I had a $3,500 Desert Ghost highway with a Paradox female het cryptic and G stripe or something like that I have up for like $3,500 on MorphMarket. I put her at $1,000 starting.
Hello.
And I said, maybe just, you know what, if I'm selling a bunch of other stuff and then I can make another $1,000 or $1,500 off of her, I'll be fine with it. I'll live with it. I'll be thrilled I didn't wait for 3, but you know what, it'll make the auction more exciting too. I said, fine. So, I didn't put anything with a starting bid lower than I would cover the shipping and, you know, and be comfortable with what I made off of it is kind of how I went. So yeah, most stuff was just pretty much cut in half though, just to make it easy. I just cut them in half. A few of them, right as I was getting ready to kick it off, you can change the starting bid. And feeling out how the auction started, a few of them I dropped a little bit more. I said to my wife, no one's going to bid on at that. Just put it at 200. Like, and she was DJing for me on the side. Like she was picking the next animal in the auction and queuing it and starting it and stuff like that. So I was just like,
was that Reagan or your wife?
My wife. Reagan was
okay.
Trying to hug the camera the whole time. She was, I kept coming back from grabbing an animal and having to slide her back over. She moved right back in the center and was like watching herself on the screen dance and stuff. So it's pretty funny. But she kept people entertained, helped fill the dead air. So it was a whole family affair. But
all right. So how many did you sell?
Yep. 19 animals sold.
Okay, congratulations. So you started at 50% and still got 19 takes.
It got 19 takes. Yep. So I was pretty thrilled about 19 animals sold in a little less than 2.5 hours. I felt like if I went and vended my first show and I sold 19 snakes, I'd come home ecstatic.
Yeah, exactly.
So 19 less. And like I said, it was never about, so I don't want anybody to think I was disingenuous. When I was advertising it all week, I was saying there'll be some new release stuff. I just want to try it. I think it'll be fun. It was never about just dumping off inventory for me. Like it wasn't. But I'm not mad about 19 less mouths to feed, to be fair. Right. And the way it's skewed, I could be negative or I could be positive about it. High-end animals simply did not move.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't, not at all. The best.
And sorry, where would you quantify that at? 1,800 or where?
Yeah, the $1,000 and up stuff for sure didn't move. The highest individual animal that sold was, I think, about $320. The highest individual animal that went. There were total sales to people that were higher than that because they bought 2 or 3.
Right.
But, the highest individual was $320. Most stuff I started to notice, if it was over like $250 starting, it was dead air. It wasn't getting any attention. So that's why I said a few of them I started, if they were at 3 and I said, you know what, we've already got a bunch of stuff moving. I'm just adding on to what I made for the day. That's why I started whispering to her as I went by, don't use that starting price, put it at 200. And she was started at 200 to see if we got any interest. And a couple did, a couple didn't. The positive thing about the high-end stuff not moving is I didn't sell any of my high-end stuff that will probably go for full price at some point.
You'll find the marketplace. Yeah, you'll find the place. Yeah.
So that's the inventory. Honestly, I would rather keep than sell at too much of a discount anyway. I'd say most of my inventory, I feel like that about. Like there's stuff in there that I'm like, I don't really need to sell this female, but I also don't need 3 of them. Like, so
right.
Those didn't go. So I was like, you know what? I don't have any seller's remorse animals out of it. So the high animals not going was fine for me. Low end animals moved quickly. And in most cases exceeded expectations.
Let me jump in while I got a really fresh thought. Yep. We talked a little bit about like where and how things sell and like each of our own sweet spots. You prefer not to have live shows. I love live expos, but I know it's got to be an eye-catching, eye-popping animal. Yep. So I was more likely to list something that would be powerful to a breeder, but might not be might not have the grandma test feel, and some lower end animals that might only be $250 at an expo, but I know that they'll sell all day, say a male banana enchi clown. There's no need to auction that. That's going to sell at a live expo every time. I don't need to start that at $1. I can maximize that. So even though something might be more valuable, if it's going to take more effort or it's not in my sweet spot of selling, I was willing to list it. And when you said that about eye catching or compounding on top of the right place and the right audience to sell things to, really made me think of that. So that played into what I listed as well.
I didn't know what the reason I listed everything is I didn't know what the initial hype, as you mentioned earlier, with this being relatively new over on MorphMarket, with the way I was advertising it all week, if people wouldn't show up that were interested in high-end animals. So that's why I put them all. Lesson learned, they didn't show up looking for that, which is fine. The low-end stuff moved very quickly, and in some cases even exceeded expectations. Stuff that I thought was going to go lower, once a couple of people started bidding, they did get a little excited, and it moved up higher than I thought. So that was good. I mean, I sold a bunch of stuff that, like I said, the high-end animals, and the reason that it's a sweet spot for me, or a spot that I enjoy, is I don't mind sitting. If it's a $3,000 female, I always have in the back of my mind, I could breed her and make awesome stuff in time. So
yeah, she's probably pretty good if she stays put. It's not that big of a loss if she stays put, right?
I'll sit on a handful of those, and as they sell, I get a big payday, and I'm good for a month. You know what I mean? I'm fine. Like, right. So I just prefer that rhythm than to bulk shipping. Shipping the animals is the most stressful part probably for me. Once they're out of my hands in FedEx, I'm a control freak, so I'm like sweating bullets till they get there on the other end. So, you know, like I said, you know, staying with those, keeping those in the rack was fine, and moving a bunch of the lower end stuff out. You know, they were, I shouldn't say low end. I actually had made a note here to say they were more entry level animals. That's what I should say. Not so much low end. They were more entry level, is with probably the right term, and probably a better term we should use from now on. But
it's also less. It's just less resistance. It's easier. We might be able to afford a ribeye steak every night, but it's easier to buy a candy bar at the checkout. There's a reason there. All the cheap stuff is at the checkout. It's low resistance. It's you grab it, and it's stuff we're eating. It has to be by definition high quality for us to put it in our bodies. You know.
Yeah. Once you got into stuff that should be maybe like a $500 breeder female, a lot didn't go, and a couple did and exceeded expectations. So a couple that I was like, man, I'm not sure anybody's going to buy this. They ran up a little bit, and I was like, all right, well, that's pretty cool. So the low end did really well. Mid tier, I would definitely seed some in. If I was going to do another auction again, I would encourage people to seed some in. I'm when I talk about ChatGPT and thinking through every move, I took the order of the animals I was auctioning and bounced back and forth between high to low, so that I didn't like lose somebody that might be a high end buyer because they just get all entry level stuff going all day at the beginning.
Yeah,
I bounced back and forth a lot. But what else?
Would you, if you want to share, what was your either total take or your average per sale, if you're willing to share?
Yeah, about 3,200 overall for the day.
Nice.
So I'm not mad about that at all. I have a real quick breakdown here. Let me go grab it. Click over a tab here. Sorry, where did it go?
So a little over 150 average per snake.
I think it comes to, I think it's a little less than that. I think it's 120.
Okay.
3190 for 19 animals. Let me make sure this is doing the math right for me. Oh no. That's after. That's bottom line. So yeah, you're right. It's probably about 150 at the top. I have all the expenses out for that 122 number. I made 122 a snake at the end of the day.
There you go. Okay.
So it was probably like 155 or 160 a piece. There's a couple of things that are cut out of that though. So I have 3190 at the top. I told you I spent about 70 in advertising throughout the course of the week. About $10 a day. I estimate my shipping is going to come to almost $700, that free shipping, which somebody said, like, you're going to take it in the shorts on the shipping. And I was like, what? Like I said, I put the starting price, had shipping built in. So I said, I'm going to probably spend 50 on shipping this, and I'll make 150 on it. I'd be happy with that. Fine. That's what I put as a starting bid. So I could see why someone would say you're going to take it in the shorts, but I had that factored in the back of my mind. Here's the catch, the other catch. I don't know what Palm Street does, but MorphMarket does a couple bucks an auction that they skim off. So it's like $5 animal auctioned. So I estimate their cut is probably about $200. So
interesting.
25 is what I'll have probably left to my name at the end of the day across the 19 animals. So 122 an animal.
Yeah, interesting. And so here's where like life gets real and reality sets in for people. You wouldn't, so advertising for Palm Street, we got that. There's this tribalism, of course, in the world, and people like to be like, I'm with so and so, and I'm like, it's a sales platform. Let's not let it define our lives and our identity. So the number of people, right?
Yes.
So the number of people that would beat me up and say, oh, Palm Street nickels and dimes me with fees. One of my questions was going to be, what subscription level did you have to have? I don't know if everybody has access on MorphMarket, but that was interesting. So every item, did you say it's a flat fee or it's a percentage of sales, or are you not sure? Or
no, they don't
that's
take
okay
it.
if you're
They
not.
don't take a percent.
I know
of
you
your
don't
sales.
represent them.
They don't take a percent of your sales. So I'm glad you said that, because now I'm realizing maybe it wasn't so bad, because I said I don't know if Palm Street would have charged me for this, but I think it's $5 per auction. I don't know for sure now if that was every animal that sold in the auction or every one that I ran through the auction, but it has an estimated price next to it. It's telling me $200. So,
oh, so that's $5 per auction, whether they
40,
sold or
right?
not.
Times the 5, yeah, 200. So yeah.
Okay, so the de facto, so Palm Street's fee is, I think it's 6.9%. And then if you get 100 people that RSVP, they knock off 0.5%. So it comes down to 6.4. Let's just call it 7 for easy math. But it's only on the sales. Yeah. So it's on. Yeah. So it's only on the sales. So if they're charging you, whether it sells or not, just to run the item versus I'm getting charged on the sales. Yeah. My expenses were right around $200 to run mine as well.
Cost me the same. So since I sold a bunch, I did okay. Had I sold 2 out of 40, I'd be hurting on $200 bill.
You'd be in the hole. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be in the hole. The way I justified this in my mind going in was, I mean, and I don't vent shows, but what's an average table fee?
Right. So if and that's the other, like the mix, like a lot of vendors kind of knock me, or not vendors, other breeders are like, oh, you do these little local neighborhood shows. Yeah, they cost me under $100. I could get 2 tables at Ed and Emily Snake Discovery Show for under $100. I would do that every freaking weekend under their banner. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
So it's very low there. But so the Des Moines show, I think I'm paying $210 to go vend there, and then of course Tinley is a fortune, and All American, I think you're paying $200 per table. So
right around the same.
Yeah, so your expenses are going to be there. And a little part of me wants to go, hey, all you people that said Palm Street was out of line for this and that, you got to pay for the service. You have to pay for the platform and the opportunity. That's not a knock on MorphMarket. They got to stay in business. I got no problem with that. And like you say, whether it's a Facebook ad, a live expo that we're spending, it costs money to get your product out there.
It does. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking at it now. I spent, between the shipping and all that, right? They went from 160 something down to 122. So you get about 70, you walk away with 75% of what I sold, I walked away with. So at the end of the day, I have 19 less animals to feed. None of my high stuff that I would have had seller's remorse about is gone. And I put an extra $2,300 in the bank. I feel pretty comfortable with the result. I'm not like, I said to my wife, this wasn't a home run. I'm not like, let's do this again next month. We this really crushed, but I'm comfortable with this. This is something that I would consider. Like, again, my thoughts are like a spring and fall, like first shipping opening back up, tax return kind of time, run one of these off. And then right before winter and I shut down shipping, run one off to try to get, again, some stuff cleared out before I have to feed it through the winter. Like I said, it wasn't the thought going into this, but in a practical sense now, that's the only avenue I see for me that makes sense. If I have enough stuff in that range, and I don't know that I'll have enough inventory in that range. I'm pairing a little different this year. But if I have enough stuff in that range, when shipping's getting ready to close, I probably would run another one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I would only do, like you say, at most a few times a year, and I'll probably only do them once a year just as a clear out.
Yep.
Again, I really love the live sales platform. I can't speak to how MorphMarket's fees would play into that strategy, because on Palm Street, if I don't sell anything, it doesn't cost me anything, but I can hang out on there for 4 hours running my mouth and building my brand and connecting with people if I want to. Not that I do 4 hours, but you get the idea of what I'm saying. The other thing that's interesting, and you and I could probably make a show of this, but we're going to wrap up here, so I don't want to make a whole show of it. But part of my incentive, where I didn't care nearly as much about how much am I making per snake, am I losing money here, I had a target I wanted to get to. I had an investment I wanted to make in a rodent rack and stock for rodents that means I will make more money because I raised that money and I didn't have to, and that's in north of $2,000. I have $2,000 if I want to put it down, but I don't want to cough up $2,000. If I would just want to cough up $2,000, I want to go buy Gibson guitars, man. Like I want something cool. So I took the inventory from the business that wasn't very promising and turned it into something that's almost a slam dunk guarantee. I can't fulfill people's orders that I have on ASFs right now. So I want to continue to expand and grow that, but it's expensive to do. So I've already reinvested the money and already expanded production on that.
Yeah, there's plenty of like parallels, other stuff we call it, right, in any other business, as far as like, you're just collecting that capital, right? It's asset turnover, right? We're getting rid of stale inventory, whatever you want to call it, but you're, like you said, you're liquidating one thing to turn it into invest it. If these aren't, I can hang on to these forever if these aren't very profitable, and I can fight and hope that they actually sell and I made more, or I can get the money today. There's a time value to money. I can get something for them today and put it to work on the next thing. And a part of that it was that for me, because there is, and I could go into the bank too and do it, but the business has been now profitable for going on 2 years. I don't want to take it out of the household anymore. And so part of it for me was there is a breeder male that I want to put into the rack this year.
There you go.
At the end of the year. So it's going to be a quick turnaround for me too. If I get the male that I'm looking at, I'm going to turn around and make short work of it. Like,
I think that's both things that we said are really also in praise of decisive decision making. I know that there's people that will hem and haw over, well, what if I hold on to them? What if I don't make the money? I got Tinley around the corner. I guess I could drag them there. Make the decision, get on with it. Sometimes for better or worse, you figure out how to maximize the results. And like you say, the value of time people neglect, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I could sit
right there. We go.
I don't know what else to say. Like, I sit and wait for another couple $100 on it, or I got $100 that goes to work doubling and tripling today. So it's gonna compound and it's gonna come back faster. So
very nice. Let me ask you this, just to wrap up. Would you still keep basically your 50% start? Did you see that as a success or something that you would change?
Yeah, I think I don't think. The one thing I'd change is, and it would save me on some of those per auction fees, is I would leave the high end stuff out of it. That's all I would do. Like anything that's, once you start to get to like the $750 range, I probably would stop even putting it in. I'd leave a few here and there because you never know, and it keeps maybe some more people interested. But yeah, I wouldn't. Like the $3,500 girl that I put in there at $1,000, I wouldn't even have bothered. It just took up dead air.
Yeah. Maybe be calculated with it. Say, hey, for $5 extra, I'll just flex for a minute.
Yeah, in the auction format, I wouldn't.
Right.
If you just were doing a live open event, I don't know what the fees are around that. Then sure,
right.
Everything. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
But in the auction format, I just wouldn't bother with those. And I would have saved if I cut that stuff out, I'd have saved $100 and still probably made it the same. So at the end of the day, it didn't make. Then again, something to be said for it. Hold on. I'd have saved $100. If one of those sold, I'd have lost 900. So,
and if one person down the line gets the itch and goes, you know what? Let me just email Charlie. Let me just start a conversation. Yeah. Hey, remember that at 1,000? Maybe it's not the auction, but let me throw something at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So well, that's true too, because they might even say like, well, he was willing to take 1,000 in the auction. Maybe I could offer him 15 or 2 now. Yeah, like once the tax return.
Let me just see. It doesn't cost anything to be told no, So and then
I probably would leave a decent amount then in the higher tier. I don't know if I'd go that high again, but I'd probably leave a decent amount going up to the $1,000 range.
I would think too, over time, as more people get comfortable with this stuff, that we kind of push the ceiling up. How long that takes, I don't know, but that almost brings the conversation back to the very beginning. But I think we push that up over time. How long did you like the 2 minutes? Would you do it shorter? Did you find nobody's bidding till the last 10 seconds anyway?
Good question. I'm not, the jury's out for me on that one. The 2 minutes in a case where an animal's clearly not moving was rough. But in some cases, it didn't start moving for almost the first minute, and then it got extended because people kept bidding. So I don't know. I didn't there's a 3-minute option. I would not advise the 3 minutes because if I had done 1 minute, it's kind of like I was just talking about. If I had cut the top end of the inventory out, I'd have been done probably 45 minutes sooner. I saved $100. But if I cut the 2 minutes down to 1, I'd have been done in half the time. It'd have been an hour and a half. But I don't know. You might have missed one sale or something like that. That somebody after 2 minutes of sweating it said, "Fine, I'm going to buy it," and that $300 might have paid for the $100 I'd have saved. So
do they? I know I said it was the last question. Do they extend the last bid, right? The last bid causes 10 seconds of runoff, or how much?
I can't remember, but it does add more time.
Okay. Yeah, so there's not sniping. So like for me, as long as there's no sniping, like I do mine at 30 seconds. I'm like, get in, you want to get in. And then of course it's going to be extended when they bid anyway. So I like the short one just because if you're there and you want action, get in or not, but that's a to each his own. And that's just my own experience of doing that. So, well, Charlie, thank you so much for being here. Like I say, you're always very gracious with your time and transparency. Audience, go check out Charlie at ReaganRenee.com. All the links are down below in the description as well for Charlie and all of the advertisers. I thank you all for joining and supporting, keeping me honest on a Tuesday night in North Carolina here, which I'm thankful to be at. So thanks very much. Charlie, where can everybody find you? Obviously, MorphMarket, where else is good?
Yep. Reagan Renee on Instagram is probably the easiest way to catch up with me. Reagan Renee Royal Pythons on Instagram. You can DM me. And the other thing I'm going to plug is if you like this level of insight and want to hear more of this type of stuff from me, if you go to Scale by Reagan Renee on Instagram, there's a link there for my school. It's not a Patreon. It's a little bit of a different platform. It's free. But I have started essentially a book on from the ground up building a business doing this. If you're interested in the business side, every week I put out like 1 or 2 more pages, very small little tidbits that I put out. And it's just around very basic business 101 concepts that I think people should be thinking about. If you want to do this as a business, that I think you should be thinking about earlier, that I wish even knowing what I know, wish I had thought of earlier. So check that out. Scale by Reagan Renee on Instagram.
It's fantastic. This isn't just like a paid promo part of it. I could personally testify to Charlie's insight on analytics and insight into business. It's where we kind of connected and became friends in the first place, along with the ball python. So go check that out. Incredible, innovative tools that you're working on and pushing boundaries. So I always enjoy it. Thanks for being here, man. I'll see you soon.
It ties to those calculators that you mentioned. I'm sorry, but really quick. It ties to those calculators. Yeah. So when I put a new lesson out, I almost always have a calculator as well. So I go through how to do the math by hand, but I usually put something that links to a hidden link on my website that helps you fill it in, and it does a lot of the math for you too. So, but it's walking you through the concepts, trying to help you understand why to make certain decisions. Doesn't tell you what decision to make, tells you what you need to be thinking about to make it for yourself.
To make the decision. Very good. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Charlie, stick around for just a second. Guys, I'll see you next week. I got the crew from Morphforge. Same place, same time, but I'll be back in Minnesota by then. Cheers, everyone. Thank you.